I remember the day. I wake up on a Saturday morning. I guess it was September, to a text from Sam. And it says something like, I need to talk to you. Okay. Tell me, what do you need to talk to me about? I'm afraid to tell you. Just tell me. She tells me she's pregnant.
No, actually, you guessed she was pregnant, right?
Was it me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. If you're saying it was.
Yeah, I mean, we have the text.
Okay. Well, so I guess she was pregnant. And at that point, I'm like, fuck. It didn't occur to me that about the whole condom thing or anything like that. My whole thought was, I need this girl to have an abortion. I don't want to have a child with her.
This is Samantha Dean, a 29-year-old crime victims counselor who beat cancer, dedicated her life to helping people in their worst moments. She was 7 months pregnant when she was shot 3 times in the head and left in a dark parking lot in Bastrop, Texas. And before that night, Samantha had already told the people closest to her exactly who would be responsible if she ever turned up dead. Now, let's go all the way back to the beginning, because understanding who Samantha was and who Vaughn Trey Clark was makes everything that happened between them that much heavier. Samantha Elizabeth Dean was born on May 12, 1985 in Nuremberg, Germany, to a military family that eventually settled in San Antonio, Texas, where she grew up. By the time she graduated from Judson High School in 2003, she was a varsity tennis player, sharp, independent, and the kind of person who made everyone in the room feel comfortable. Her mother, Kimberly, later said that Samantha never met a stranger and had a way of pulling people toward her just by being herself.
9-year-old Samantha Dean, who was pregnant with her first child, has been shot to death in a deserted parking lot, and police have no idea why. Statistically, most victims know their killer, so investigators with the Bastrop Police Department need to find out who the father of Samantha's baby is. For that, they go to Samantha's parents. But first, investigators have to break the unimaginable news that their daughter has been murdered.
When they notified me, I didn't quite understand what they were saying. Did I just not hear them correctly? Because it didn't register right away.
I go to work Wednesday morning. 2 ladies from our human resource office area, they come in and they're asking me to come upstairs. We go up to one of the conference rooms. I see my husband, and then I saw a lady. And she had on the same kind of clothing that Sam would wear as an advocate. All I remember is her saying Sam's name, and then I remember hearing murdered, and I remember hearing screaming.
When Samantha was 18 years old, in her very first year at the University of Texas at San Antonio, she was diagnosed with sarcoma, a rare type of cancer that had grown in her elbow and spread to her lymph nodes. What came next was brutal and exhausting. Daily chemotherapy for 2.5 months, radiation treatment twice every single day, multiple major surgeries, and a full month living inside a hospital. Most people would have stopped everything and just tried to survive, but Samantha went to class through all of it and graduated on time with degrees in liberal arts and public policy. She then kept going and earned a master's degree in forensic psychology from John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York, which is one of the most respected criminal justice schools in the country.
Me and Sam, like I said, we used to work together. I worked in IT. Mm-hmm. We ended up meeting one day out for work. Right. Hooked up then. Probably for the next... It was a long time. I don't know. It was a long time. We kind of went back and forth. We didn't date or anything, but we had sex not on a regular basis, but we were having sex. Right. And then she moved away. Right. But we kept in touch.
Would you say it was just a sexual relationship or a dating relationship?
It wasn't a dating relationship. I learned some things about Sam recently that I didn't know about.
Right.
But in my eyes, I thought we were having a sexual relationship.
Right.
The treatment left permanent damage in her left hand and elbow, which took away her lifelong dream of becoming a sworn police officer. Rather than walk away from law enforcement entirely, she found a different path in. She began volunteering with the Austin Police Department, going out on death notifications and sitting with victims of violent crimes, including domestic violence survivors. She was clearly good at the work because a close friend, Amanda Lawrence Whedon, described her this way: "Sam has a way with people and speaking to people and de-escalating situations and just connecting with people. Her aura just attracted others to her." That volunteer role eventually turned into a full-time position as the first ever Victim Services Coordinator at the Kyle Police Department in Kyle, Texas, a job she had essentially created from nothing. It was during those volunteering years with APD that Samantha first crossed paths with Vontre Clark. Clark was born around April of 1983 and became an Austin Police Department patrol officer in 2012, graduating from the APD Academy as part of the 120th class. His record on the job was mixed at best. On the good side, he picked up 2 commendations in 2013, one for alerting residents during an apartment fire and another for spotting a wanted suspect sleeping in a rental car. On the not-so-good side, he received a 3-day suspension after he lost control of his patrol vehicle while chasing a suspect and crashed into private property.
Would you say it was just a sexual relationship or a dating relationship?
It wasn't a dating relationship. I learned some things about Sam recently that I didn't know about.
Right.
But in my eyes, I thought we were having a sexual relationship.
Right.
But for the most part, I mean, we didn't, I guess it would only be a sexual relationship because we only spoke.
When it was to hook up?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Elaborate a little bit. Did you learn something that bothered you about her?
No, not bothering me. So when when we got pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
or actually before that, I was trying to break it off with her.
Right.
As far as just not seeing her anymore.
Right.
But when she got pregnant, she told me some things that I don't know how I took that. I didn't feel the same way.
Yes, sir.
Again, I thought that we had a relationship based on sex.
Right.
And we didn't get a chance to really talk about what she thought the relationship was or that kind of stuff. We had an argument that at that point and we stopped talking for a while. That was pretty much that though.
Yeah. Tell me what you know about her life, her family. Does she have family, associates, friends, co-workers?
No idea.
You never got into it with her, or she never.
The closest we talked for a long time when she lived in New York, via instant messaging and things like that, via the cell phone as well, and I ended up getting caught talking to her. So that's why we stopped talking.
Away from the job, Clark had his life set up in a way that looked stable from the outside. He lived with his longtime girlfriend, Laura Tootin, in a home she owned in South Austin, and they were raising 2 children together, one that was biologically theirs, and one he had fathered with a different woman. Anyone looking in from the outside would have said this man had a whole life and a whole family. But behind all of that, he had been quietly living a completely different situation for years. Clark and Samantha had been in an on and off sexual relationship for about 6 to 7 years, going back to around 2008 when they were both working regular non-police office jobs in San Antonio before either of them joined the law enforcement world. According to Clark himself, the relationship was purely physical from his side, nothing more. Samantha, by all accounts, had developed real feelings for him over the years, but she kept the whole thing quiet from her own parents, mainly because she was embarrassed about the fact that Clark was already in a committed relationship with someone else. In August of 2014, Samantha found out she was pregnant. For a lot of people, unexpected news like that is complicated but workable. For Samantha, it felt like something close to a miracle, because for everything her body had gone through with chemotherapy and radiation, doctors were not sure she would ever be able to carry a child at all. She embraced the pregnancy fully, named her daughter Madeline Rose, planned to call her Maddie, and started preparing for her arrival.
Like a week or two later, July, August, in that time frame when she got pregnant, what happens is I was going to stop seeing Sam and go back to Laura, or stay with Laura and not see Sam anymore. I tell Sam that she does whatever. She doesn't say anything about it. When I came to her house to have sex, she wanted to use a condom. Done.
Y'all hadn't seen each other in a little while, right?
Probably not seen each other in. It would have. I'm not good with the time frames, but it would have been maybe we hadn't had sex probably within a year, I think, because me and Sam hadn't had sex for a long while, and then we hadn't even talked for a long while, and then I happened to see her on a call that I was on, and then that's when we started talking. The call would have been at least a year before she got pregnant, I think. Maybe more. I don't know. Anyways, we end up using a condom, which normally we don't use a condom, but I didn't think anything of it.
Vice versa. So it's very important that those relationships exist. When the sheriff and the Texas Rangers asked us to do that, this case, as Samantha was part of our law enforcement family here in Central Texas, we thought we had to go to great lengths to do what we could do to bring back Vontre Clark in the interest of justice. So that was very important. Also, it sends a message that if you're a violent criminal in the U.S., the FBI has the reach around the world to come get you. And we will use the resources and the relationships we develop to do just that. And we will bring you back for the sake of justice. That's really what I wanted to say today, and I think we'll take some questions after everyone's spoken. Thank you.
At this time, Bastrop County District Attorney Brian Gertz will come to the podium.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today as well. This has been a very complicated, factual and jurisdictional investigation and remains very much ongoing investigation and criminal prosecution. We are not going to be fending a lot of questions specifically about this case as to
Vontre Clark's response to hearing about this pregnancy was the total opposite of what any decent man would do. The moment she told him, he started pushing her hard to end the pregnancy. Investigators later found this all spelled out in Samantha's personal journal and in text message records between them. Clark told her that this baby being born would ruin his life and make him lose his family. And when Samantha refused, he did not let up for months. And as that pressure kept building, so did something else inside Samantha, which was fear. The colleagues Samantha worked with at the Kyle Police Department later told investigators that she had confided in them more than once that if she ever turned up dead, Vontre Clark would be the one responsible. Multiple co-workers confirmed hearing her say this. She wasn't just venting. She was a professional who worked with crime victims and knew exactly how dangerous certain situations could become. And she knew that what she was in with Clark was one of those situations. What she didn't yet know was how far he had already started moving to make sure her fear would become reality.
You never got into it with her, or she never.
We talked for a long time when she lived in New York, via instant messaging and things like that, via the cell phone as well. And I ended up getting caught talking to her, so that's why we stopped talking.
Right.
And it wasn't until I think when kind of around the time that I started AP that we kind of started talking again, and then we started having sex again.
Know too much about her life, family, associates, who she hung out with. And along those lines, did you know if she had any bad habits?
I don't think so. I don't. She didn't seem like the type that. She didn't seem like a bad person. I never got the feeling that she was a bad person. She works with us. No, I don't think so.
And I'm beating a dead horse, but you ever see her drink, smoke cigarettes, smoke dope, do any type of drugs?
She doesn't smoke. I don't think she does drugs. I've seen her drink, but I've never. Again, I don't.
And especially you as an officer, think about it. You may have not seen it because you were, in a sense, close to her, but think back and look through it with police officers' eyes. Any indicators, anything that for a second said, did you ever recall having a moment like that? No.
Not once. No, not with Sam.
Okay.
No.
So she was pretty much, as far as you know, granted little contact,
as far as I know, Sam,
straight up.
Sam was a good person.
Wow.
By January of 2015, Samantha was 7 months pregnant, and the pressure from Clark had moved well beyond just words and arguments. What Samantha was documenting in her personal journal during that period reveals exactly who Von Trey Clark was behind that badge and that uniform, and it's hard to read without your blood running cold. In a journal entry dated January 27, 2015, Samantha described what had happened 6 days earlier, on January 21st. Clark had come to her while still wearing his full APD uniform and with his service weapon on him. And during that encounter, he put handcuffs on her and blindfolded her. Samantha wrote in that journal that at one point she genuinely believed Clark was about to kill her right there. Investigators who later read that journal specifically noted it as direct evidence of her state of mind and of Clark's motive, because this was not the writing of someone being dramatic. This was a trained professional who understood violence and was telling the truth about what she felt in that room.
Understanding is that there was that on and off relationship between them.
In 2014, Samantha learned she was pregnant with a daughter she named Madeline and planned to call her Maddie. Clark, who had a live-in girlfriend, was the father.
She said, this isn't the way that I had wanted everything to be. And I said, you have gone beyond anything that we could have ever expected of you.
Samantha and her family were unsure she would ever be able to have children. Samantha had received intensive radiation treatments a decade earlier from sarcoma cancer and underwent multiple extensive surgeries.
It was really a blessing that she was even able to become pregnant.
Authorities believe Clark lured the 29-year-old Samantha to Bastrop on the evening of February 3, 2015, to buy items for their baby. Instead, they said Clark had paid two men from Houston $5,000 to kill her. Investigators say Clark himself fired one of the fatal shots.
Why? Why would someone do something like that?
Over the next few months, Dean's parents endured widespread attention on the case, including a global hunt for Clark, who fled the country and was found 5 months later in Indonesia.
It was awful. Sometimes information was being revealed to us as it was being revealed to everyone else, where we were catching it on the news.
The next years were filled with court appearances, a trial, and finally healing. On a winding path to recovery, one of the biggest moments came last year when Kim Dean drove to the rural East Texas prison to meet with Clark.
I wanted to know, from her perspective, a person that she loved that would have the audacity to do what he did. Not only just to her, but to our granddaughter to his daughter. What would possess someone like that to take that step?
They talked for 8 hours.
Did he apologize? Sure. But what can I do with that?
In February, to mark the 10th anniversary of Samantha's death, Kelvin and Kim attended a gathering at the Kyle Police Department, where a victims counseling area was dedicated to Samantha and her daughter. Today, they talk about what life would be like if Samantha and Madeline were here. They keep in touch with Samantha's friends.
I've seen them get married. I've seen them move on in their careers. I've seen them have children. I've seen their parents with their grandchildren. And I can't help but think what Sammy would be doing now.
Now, the Deans want to carry their daughter's advocacy forward.
This was her job. She understood very well what domestic violence looked like.
She wants to warn others that even the most skilled professionals, someone who had helped other victims of domestic violence, became one.
I want to use her case as a cautionary tale.
A cautionary tale that 2 grieving parents believe will help cement her legacy.
It's for Sam.
Of helping and protecting others. Vontre Clark was sentenced to life without parole through a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. The other 2 men, Freddie Lee Smith and Kevin Watson, also were convicted of murder and are currently in prison.
With police officers' eyes, any indicators, anything that for a second said, did you ever recall having a moment like that? No.
Not once. No, not with Sam.
Okay.
No.
So she was pretty much, as far as you know, granted little contact, but
As far as I know, Sam,
straight up.
Sam was a good person.
Wow. And I know you're limited on your information because of the relationship y'all had or lack of, but do you know of anybody she knew in Bastrop, in this community, why she would come here?
We've been beating our heads all day long trying to figure that out. There's one person that I know that actually knows her, and then there's some more people that I know her just through work, but don't know her.
Right.
And I asked and asked, why would she be out here?
Right.
And she didn't know either.
Something you said a little while ago, y'all were having a sexual relationship, y'all stopped for a while, you said you got caught. Were you in another relationship? Is that what caused that?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess when you started with APD, you said y'all kind of picked that back up. Did it cause, I know these are uncomfortable questions, did it cause any friction with your current relationship, or did you just keep that secret to yourself?
I just kept it to myself.
Yes, sir. When did Samantha get pregnant, or when did she tell you she was pregnant?
Sam told me she was pregnant Saturday morning. I want to say early August.
Early August.
I believe so.
Are you in a relationship right now? Or you were in a relationship then in August as well?
I'm sorry?
In August, when she told you that you were in a relationship, what did that cause you any stressors, or?
I haven't even said anything.
Okay.
9-year-old Samantha Dean, who was pregnant with her first child, has been shot to death in a deserted parking lot, and police have no idea why. Statistically, most victims know their killer, so investigators with the Bastrop Police Department need to find out who the father of Samantha's baby is. For that, they go to Samantha's parents. But first, investigators have to break the unimaginable news that their daughter has been murdered.
When they notified me, I didn't quite understand what they were saying. Did I just not hear them correctly? Because it didn't register right away.
I go to work Wednesday morning. 2 ladies from our human resource office area, they come in and they're asking me to come upstairs. We go up to one of the conference rooms. I see my husband, and then I saw a lady. And she had on the same kind of clothing that Sam would wear as an advocate. All I remember is her saying Sam's name, and then I remember hearing murdered, and I remember hearing screaming.
What makes all of this even harder to sit with is that while Samantha was writing those words in her journal and confiding in her coworkers, Clark had already set the plan in motion months earlier. According to his own signed confession, Clark had already made up his mind by September of 2014. He wrote, in his own words, "She did not want to terminate the pregnancy, even though I wanted her to. I felt the pregnancy threatened my existing family." That sentence right there is the whole motive, written out plain and simple in his own handwriting. His comfort, his secret life, and his relationship with Laura Tootin were worth more to him than Samantha's life and the life of their unborn daughter. So he started looking for someone to do the job. Clark reached out to his old high school friend, Kevin Leo Watson, a man he had known since around 2000 in North Austin, and called his brother in their text messages. Watson was not a police officer. He had a prior criminal record for drug and weapons offenses out of Houston.
If you pick up any vibe from anybody, you know, I have to go through all this. You pick up anything from anybody acts unusual, that, you know, maybe they knew her as well and you know them. If you just pick up anything, I'm asking you, please give me a call.
You don't
Let
have
me
to.
know. Yeah,
You don't
I
have
know.
to.
I need to know. We need to know. We need to find out what happened to her. Part of our SOP, as you know, we have to, anybody that knew her, we're trying to talk to. Anybody that knew her, we also are asking to tell us their whereabouts. Where were you? What were you doing? This happened the night before last. Can you remember what you were doing? Yeah.
What? Tuesday I was cooked dinner about probably 8:30's probably about the time the kids go to bed, so I cooked dinner, and then at about 9:30 I left. I went to the school. We have a school right across the street.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I live right across the street from Sam. I don't know if you know that,
Okay.
but we live fairly close together.
Okay.
So I left because in my current relationship, we're going through problems. So I left and just stayed out for a while, and I just chilled in my car, walked around for a little bit, and I ended up going to the police station.
Which downtown or the north?
No, the South Substation.
South Substation. About what time do you think you got there?
Around 11:45, maybe midnight.
Okay. What'd you do there?
I read a report.
Okay.
I tried to send it to myself.
Yeah. How long do you think you guess you stayed there?
30 minutes.
30 minutes. What'd you do after that?
I went home.
You went home. Okay. Did you stay home the rest of the night?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I have anything else. Can you think of anything else that you want to tell me that might help me? Or
The only
like that?
thing, there's nothing that I know about Sam that I can think of that would help.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was talking to Stephanie earlier today, she mentioned some things about Sam called the police on someone, I guess a neighbor or something.
Stephanie.
It's Sam's best friend.
Stephanie was telling or saying something that she had called the cops, that Samantha had called the cops.
She said that, I guess back in the fall, I don't know an exact date, that Sam had called the cops on a domestic violence or a domestic dispute or something along those lines across the street from her neighbor.
Clark asked Watson to find someone willing to kill Samantha, and Watson reached out to a Houston area man named Freddie Lee Smith. The agreed price was $5,000 each for Watson and Smith, which means Clark put a $10,000 price tag on the life of a 7-month pregnant woman and the baby girl she was carrying.
To keep their planning off the radar, Clark and Watson used prepaid burner phones that Watson bought specifically for this purpose, the kind you pay cash for and throw away. They also used their PlayStation 4 gaming systems to have voice calls about the details of the plan, probably thinking that gaming chats would not get flagged the same way phone calls might. They underestimated what investigators could find, because digital forensics later pulled up 187 phone calls and 884 text messages between Clark and Watson alone during the relevant time period, plus even more communication between Watson, Smith, and others. On the evening of February 3rd, 2015, Samantha's night started out the same way it always did, with no obvious reason to panic. Clark contacted her and told her he needed her to help with an errand, specifically to buy a tablet or some items for the baby, and she agreed to go meet him.